Hello viewers, yes, this is Ranjana ma'am and you are watching yours as well as my channel, and this is the third part of the tenses. No tension with your tenses anymore, and the third part will sum up the chapter on tenses. By the way, if you have not subscribed to my channel up till now, please do. And don't forget to press the like button after you have watched the video. So, what are we waiting for? Let's start. So, the last part or the third major branch of tenses, I will. That means the future which has not yet happened, that is yet to happen, that will take place in future. For that we use the future tense. But as I told you that in today's world, future tense is slowly going out of use. It is becoming obsolete. The two major tenses are present tense and past tense, and you will see it yourselves how future tense, instead of using future tense, we can use it in the simple present form or present continuous form also. So the future tense, like the other two tenses, again has four branches: simple future, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. Of these four, mostly the simple future is still used, but the others, they are very remote. We hardly use them. They are going out of practice slowly. Even simple future, as I told you, I'll show you how you can replace it with a present continuous or a simple present. Like we will go to Darjeeling next week. Darjeeling came to my mind because I just visited it. You must have seen. So we will leave for Darjeeling next week. So this is will go, leave or will go. So the verb in the future form is will or shall, and then it is followed with the verb in the main or the root form. That means verb 1. But many of you have doubts. When do we use shall and when do we use will? Grammatically speaking, or going by the books, grammar books, most often we use I shall, you will, he will. But in today's English, shall is slowly going out of use. Shall we only use when we want to give some force, compulsion, shall and should. So shall is slowly going out of use, and we use will also for the first person. Whereas grammatically speaking, I takes a shall, we shall, you will, he, she, it will. Anyway, so these, whether it is shall or will, they denote your future tense. And then comes your verb in the V1 or the present tense form or the root form. Okay, so like I will go for a movie tomorrow. You can replace it. I am going for a movie tomorrow. My father will return from Mumbai next week. Will return. Simple future. You can replace it with the present continuous. Why? Because something which is going to happen in future, if it is definite, then you can replace it with the present continuous also. My father is returning from Mumbai next week. So you just saw that we can replace the future tense with a present tense, simple present, present continuous. So some more examples on this, like I shall go to Agra tomorrow. I shall go to Delhi tomorrow. So I was telling how we can replace the simple future tense with a simple present tense. Suppose I say our examination will begin on 4th March. That is very natural. 4th March is the future tense. So if I say my examination will begin on 4th March, so we can replace it also with a simple present. My examination begins on 4th March will be equally correct. Why? Because something which has been planned, it is definitely going to happen in the future. You can always replace it with a simple present tense. Though it happens in the future, you can replace it and use it as a simple present form. The meeting will start in an hour. The meeting starts in an hour. Meeting is going to start in an hour. Both can be easily used. So for simple future we replace it. So that is why I said in modern day English you will find that we are as if not so keen to use not so keen to use the future tense. Rather we feel more comfortable while using the present tense and the past tense. And then yes, as I said, I am leaving for the States tomorrow. Instead of telling I will leave for the States tomorrow, or he will attack us. He will attack us. So he plans to attack us, or you can say they are planning to attack us. They will plan or they will attack us. So we can we will do the task tomorrow. We will complete the task tomorrow. We are going to complete the task tomorrow. And sometimes we can use the infinitive pattern instead of the simple future, like he will resign from the committee. He is going to resign. Is going to resign. Is, then comes your verb in the ing pattern, and then to. He is going to resign from the committee tomorrow. And we can also use like I will see the doctor today. I am going to see the doctor today. So you can use the present tense or the infinitive pattern, present tense in the simple present, in the present continuous, replacing it with a, instead of the future tense, replacing it with a present continuous or a simple present tense form. Now comes your present future continuous, which is very remotely used, which is hardly used, I can say. So what is the pattern? So the pattern is that I or we, and then comes the shall verb, the modal shall. I shall be taking, I shall be going, I shall be doing, I will be doing, I will be writing, I will be leaving. So I or subject, whatever it is, I, you, some third person, some proper noun, plus a will or a shall, plus be, plus V1 and ing. V1 means take, leave, whatever the verb is, plus an ing. So in present continuous it was I am doing, I am going. Past it was I was going, I was doing. In the future I will be going, I will be doing. So instead of am, are, am, is, am, are, or was, where, you are using the will. And then comes the be, will be. Whereas you didn't have the be in the present tense or in the past tense. So that is your future continuous. And when do we use the future continuous form? So a future continuous form is used when we describe an action that will be happening or continuing at some time in the future. An action continuing at some time in the future, like tomorrow at this time I will be leaving for Delhi. Suppose it is 5 o'clock in the evening now, and tomorrow at this time, that means at a time in future, an action will be continuing. So I will be leaving, or I shall be leaving for Delhi. Tomorrow at this time I will be sitting for my test. I will be answering my test at this time tomorrow. So at a time in future, an action will be continuing, and it is at that time we use the future continuous tense. And the two most archaic part of the future tense, future perfect and future perfect continuous. Of the four branches of future tense, at least we use future, simple future sometimes, but these are hardly used. Future continuous, go and read any passage, any book written by any author, and tell me after you have completed it, how many future tenses did you find in that? Any book, your textbook, your prose, your poems, wherever you are reading, read and tell me how many future tenses you have found, and how many future perfect and future perfect continuous. If you find any future tense, you will find it in the simple future form, and future one or two could be future continuous, but these will be very remote. So future perfect, what is the pattern? Will have been. So like, I have done my homework, will have done. So the present perfect form and before preceded with the future, I shall have gone, shall have done. So shall or will plus have plus V3, that means the verb in the third form. I told you V1 is main verb, V2 is past tense form, and V3 is the past participle form. So will plus have plus V3. This is the, I shall have done my homework by the time you reach my house tomorrow. So tomorrow when you reach, an action will have been completed in the future tense. By this time next week, I will have returned from Delhi. So I am going to Delhi, and next week this time my action of returning will be completed, or I will have left for Delhi. You can say that also. Suppose today is Thursday. I am just giving an example. Suppose today is Thursday. When next Thursday comes, by this time I will have left. That means my leaving for Delhi is next Thursday. So by this time, suppose it is 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, rather it is 1 o'clock now, and suppose my train or my flight is at 9. So I'll say by this time next week I will have left. The action of leaving completed in future. 1 week later. So by this time next Thursday I will have left for Delhi. So will have left, an action which we completed in the future. So that is your future perfect form, and then what remains? Only one, future perfect continuous, the cousins of present perfect continuous and past perfect continuous, but this is the less known one. The most known one is the present perfect continuous, followed by past perfect continuous. They are very close, and this one is a lesser known cousin, future perfect continuous. And what is the form of future perfect continuous? Will have been doing, again the present continuous form and preceded with a will or a shall, and most often it is will. I told you, because shall is also slowly becoming extinct, very little used. Will has taken the place. So will have been doing, will have been raining, will have been listening. So when do we use this form? So it tells you an action will be continuing at some time in the future. An action continuing in some time in the future. So this is where we use the simple. So the future perfect continuous tense, even in the grammar books you will find, in many of the grammar books it is written that this tense is not used nowadays. Yes, as I told you. So we use the, or it was used to describe an action that will be in progress even after a point of time in future. That means the action started in the past, but it will be continuing in future. So like in the present, an action started in the past but continuing in the present. An action started in the past and had continued for some time in the past was past perfect continuous. And future perfect continuous, an action started in the past and will be still continuing at a given time in future also. So this is a very good sentence. By the end of this year, I shall have been living in Delhi for the last 4 years. By the end of this year, that means a given time in future, I shall have been living in Delhi for 4 years. So an action started 4 years ago, and at the end of the year, that means in future time, the action still will be going on. So but I told you, and even in the grammar books also they write that this tense is not used nowadays. But still it's no harm knowing, though you won't get something like this. So in a nutshell, I told you that these are the different tenses in order to make your job easier, so that you understand without getting bored. I gave you 3 videos so that you can take rest and go for it. So with this, my video on the tenses comes to an end. This was the 3rd part. So let me know whether you have understood it, and I will give you some exercises to solve in my next video. Just wanting to know whether you have understood it well or not. So bye for the time being, and have a happy time.